few good friends gather around to talk about all the week's soccer, from big games to big stories across Europe's top 5 leagues and the MLS. Just to introduce our not-so starting side today, representing the blue side of Milan, we have
Anthony.
Representing the red side of Milan, we have
Giancarlo.
Representing the sky blue of Manchester, we have
Gap.
And lastly, my name is Marco, representing the red side of North London and the white side of Madrid because CR7 is my boy. Now, just to preview the agenda for today, in our review segment, we'll be looking at a few of the big games this week, like Liverpool versus Arsenal, Napoli versus Roma, and United versus Bournemouth, to name a few, and ending with our look-ahead segment to the champions! So without further ado, let's get into the first game, Liverpool versus Arsenal, where my Arsenal got dealt with, and I'm distraught, so please talk to me, lads.
Well, I gotta say it's a typical Arsenal performance, you know? Always go missing in the big games, in the games that really matter. They're just not there. There are a couple questionable questions from Arsene Wenger in the starting 11. I mean, I don't understand why he started Olivier Giroud over Alexis Sanchez. Maybe Gab, you can get into that a bit.
Listen, I mean, there wasn't anything necessarily that I was surprised at in the game. I think Liverpool at home were always going to be favored in that one, and I think, listen, at the end of the day, it's another season with Arsenal. The bottom line with Arsenal is they're a club that is currently with Wenger. Finishing in the top 4 is fine with them, and it's always going to be big picture. Whether they lose one game here to Liverpool, one game here to City, one game to Chelsea, bottom line is they get into that top 4 with Wenger, and he keeps his job.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Just want to go a little bit further on that point. Liverpool at home is a very hard game to play, especially given Liverpool's record against the big teams in the last few years, against City and Arsenal and Chelsea. They've always come out to play. So, I think it was pretty much, it wasn't a given result, but it was a pretty favored result in terms of their side. And the Sanchez thing was completely shocking to see him on the bench when he should have been starting. The game would have been changed completely.
I know the only thing I can say about the Sanchez, I was watching the post-match interviews, and I know Lawson was talking about how apparently he picked up an injury in training and he was taking some painkillers before the substitution. So there's possibly that, but I was reading like tweets about possible stories that they actually had an argument, and that was actually what ended up happening. So I guess we don't know for sure with the Alexis thing, but what Giancarlo was saying about the form and being nothing new. I mean, I saw a stat today that it's literally since the 2012-2013 season, they've had 21 away games in the Premier League against top 6 opposition. They've only won 3 times, conceding 47 goals and only scoring 26. I mean, it's sad, but it's almost expected at this point when we're going away to top 6 opposition. So it's just woeful.
Listen, I think even to push it over to Liverpool point of view here, I think this was maybe not necessarily a must-win game, but you're looking at a game for Jurgen Klopp where he had to win this game. I don't necessarily think that he would have been in trouble with his job if they lost this game, but I thought this was a game where they were in some pretty bad form, and if Klopp didn't win this game, I think he would have been in some trouble, because even if you compare it to, look at Chelsea, a team, Liverpool and Chelsea both don't have Europe this season, they're both playing one competition. You look at Chelsea, they've been, running away with everything this year, and then you look at Liverpool and they're not even in the top 4 right now, or sorry, they are with the Arsenal victory, but, they should be much higher than they are, playing one competition in comparison to City, who are in the Champions League. So this was a massive win for Klopp.
Yeah, I completely agree as well. But is it now time to pose the question? Is it time for Mr. Wenger to finally lead the club that he's pretty much been, he raised up from ground up for so many years? Are we starting to finally see some cracks in the way he does things now? Is it time for him to leave? What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, as the fond Arsenal fan around here. It's a shame to see what's happened. I mean, being at the club for over 20 years, the stadium moved, the Invincibles, multiple trophies, multiple leagues. But it just seems like at this point, what we're seeing, it just hit me the other day. It literally looks like the classic line from the Dark Knight movies, where it's you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And it honestly seems like that's what's going on with Austin. And you've got all these Arsenal fans coming to the stadiums with banners. You see the reaction from fans on Arsenal Fan TV. I mean, it's just a really toxic atmosphere with this whole Wenger out situation, and it just seems like every story has to come to an end, and sadly it just looks like that line, you either die here or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain, and it looks like sadly he's turning into a villain.
Listen, I mean, it's a conversation that's going to go on, and there's obviously Arsenal fans on both sides of it, but again, I think it's more of a big picture thing with Arsenal, and it's a topic that you can sit here and discuss for hours, and you don't necessarily can come to a conclusion. There's just so many point of views with it, and it's just something that, again, big picture, end of the season sort of type of thing, and again, it's something you can go on for hours. So let's move on here to the next big game of the weekend. We had Napoli-Roma. Napoli with a huge 2-1 victory over Roma. Roma obviously chasing Juve in that title race, and just in the same weekend that Juve dropped points, they couldn't find a way to pick up that victory, which is massive intentions on that title race in that league.
Yeah, well, I just got to say, after talking about Arsenal, it's kind of funny that we're talking about Roma, considering, I kind of see them as the Serie A version of Arsenal. Over the last couple of years, in those big games where they needed to step it up and get the 3 points, they haven't been able to do it. And today was one of those days. They had 3 points right there against Napoli, like a big game. They needed all of them, and they lose it. And Juve ended up dropping points. They could have been, I think, 5 points within Juve if they won, and they blew it. So it's a different year, same story for Roma. It's been happening the past 3-4 years for them, and I don't know what the problem is. But Anthony, you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, it was a very poor game from Roma's point of view. Like they're at home, they should have done more. I would have to say, especially in a game like this, where literally they could have caught Juve, not knowing that they were going to drop points, but it's still a good chance. I think Spalletti's decision to go 3-4-3 was completely stupid.
I totally agree with that. I mean, I don't think they got the quality of center backs to play it.
It's not the quality. It's the system. It's the players knowing the system.
That's true.
With Juve, they put the three center back, Bonucci, Chiellini, Barzagli. They know how to play in a three-man back line. So most of the players. So when they change from playing in the Champions League, playing in the league, from 3-5-2 to 4-2-3-1, not 4-4-3-1-2, they're more well adapted to that.
Much easier transition.
Exactly, pretty much.
Yeah, but you got guys like Juan Jesus and Rudiger. They've never played in that system, right? Even Manolas. All year they've been playing with the back four, and then recently he's been going back to three at the back. It's if you don't have that experience, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, for sure. I think their star player Nangolan disappeared after a stellar game against Inter. But after
to be fair though, he's playing out of position, right? He's playing in that cam role when really he's better when he's sitting deep. When he's playing at both ends of the field, he's not really a cam. I don't know.
You can argue that, but still, I think that he didn't play that well. I think he could have played better for what he is, and for the amount of talk that he says about Juventus and how they how they're pretty much running away with the league right now, being that should give them more motivation to where they want to win this game, that they want to catch you. But
Yeah, it's a mentality at the end of the day. You gotta win these games.
Was Pepe Reina's save at the death there? Was that sort of like the title closer? You know, him shutting the door on Roma. You think, even though there is still a couple months left, was that sort of like him saying, you know, bye bye to your title chances in the same weekend that Juve dropped points?
You don't win these games. I don't know how you expect to win the title. These are the games that you have to win. You can't just you can't expect to win the title and not beat the top 3-4 teams. These are the games you have to win, especially when this is the time to get those points to catch up on Juve. But they dropped it. Like you said, that's a good metaphor.
And that was.
And I think also the context is huge too, because you're thinking Roma were at home, and Napoli had a massive Champions League game midweek. That's easily on the back of their minds. So
not to mention they lost to Atalanta last week, right? So it's not like they came off a loss. So you know you expected Roma to do more, but that's how it goes. You know, that's Roma for you.
I know that the 8 points is a big gap, and we don't know if Juve is gonna drop any more points, but you can't just close the door.
Well,
we've seen title teams come from behind on the title.
That's fair, but I think we're now seeing, in the last couple of years, we're seeing two narratives with Roma. It's a lot of people say it's coaching, some people say it's the players, and now in a year where they're now with Spalletti, you know, they're now dropping, you know, they've lost a game now to Napoli, and a lot of people seem to think, no, before that was Garcia, he was the problem, and now you've got Spalletti, and now they've dropped another big game. So I think that's in the Juve, in the Roma camp. Sorry, it's going to be a big narrative going forward in the next couple of years. But anyway, let's go on here to as we mentioned their other title rivals, Juve, dropping points to Udinese on the road. Was this a slip up or just a tough game at a tough ground to Udinese with the new stadium? What do you guys think?
You know what, Udinese, they played fairly well this year, to give them credit. You know, they're in the bottom half of the standings, but you know they pulled 2 results against Milan this year. I'm not saying, you know, Milan's they're not nowhere near Juve, right? But they're in the top 7 this year. They're a good team, and Udinese beat them twice. You know, they got a really good attack of Rodrigo De Paul and Duvan Zapata. So, you know, at home it's a tough game. It's not easy.
I have to say it's probably a mix of both of what you said, Gap. But to me, if you ask any Juventus fan or any fan of City A, like Juventus haven't played their best of their abilities for pretty much the entire season. Some would argue that the game against Porto, and a few league games against big teams and some small
Before they
teams.
changed to the 4-2-3-1, right?
Yeah, pretty much. They would say that maybe those were the best teams. Like, not a lot, maybe 2-3 games where they actually played to their best of their capabilities. But yeah, like, they just didn't play well. They were very sluggish, they didn't come to play, so it really did affect them a lot. And then eventually, they finally woke up and got the equalizer.
Listen, I've got to say, death, taxes, and a Leonardo Bonucci headed goal. That guy's got a knack for scoring goals. In a sport where Sergio Ramos is glorified for the constant goals he scores with his head, you know, Bonucci's up there. He scores a lot of goals off the corners.
In Ramos' defense, I would have to just argue the context of those goals. They are in Champions League finals twice. They are in El Clasicos. I mean, this is a Udinese battle with a 10th place team, so the context of the goal's not there, but I cannot argue with the man coming up with headed goals. But the bigger headed goals, I would have to say, are going to the way of the man in white.
Hey, yeah, no, I hear you, and that's definitely a fair point. Listen, it's going to be a tough race between Napoli and Juve, or Roma and Juve there, and even Napoli are creeping up too. So, till the end of the season, let's see what's going on. It'll definitely be tight down the stretch there. All right, let's go back to the Premier League now. A big firework game there with Man United and Bournemouth. I mean, with the incident with Zlatan, and you know, Zlatan misses a penalty. This was a pretty, and United staying in 6 with the draw. Thoughts on this game?
Thought it was from what I've seen. I thought it was a fair result. Yeah, they had their chances and they couldn't capitalize. I think this is the first time that they didn't capitalize on the chances that they were given. But I think overall, Bournemouth's a very good team in the Premier League. They've probably been one of the better teams to come out of the Championship. They're a club that doesn't spend a lot on players or just big players. Known throughout the Premier League. They have a good system, good coach, knows how to position their players and their team to win. And I think it was a great result for Bournemouth. I think United they had a chance to miss out with Arsenal losing. They could have really used the other points, the 2 extra points, and I think it's going to bite them.
Yeah, I think it was definitely 2 points dropped from a United perspective, especially since they had the first goal through one Marcos Rojo and giving away a penalty to allow Bournemouth back to tie it up, and not to mention the fact that they were a man up for half the game. But sometimes it's a gift, sometimes it's a curse. And this time it proved to be a curse because you had a team who had something to protect. They had a point to protect, and they just put 10 men behind the ball and try to ride the storm and hold on to that point. And that's exactly what happened. So it was hard on United, especially with that missed penalty by Zlatan, which is uncharacteristic given the form that he's been in. But arguably that could have been some sort of psychological thing with the whole Mings incident. Basically, I don't know if that played a role into it. I don't know if he was sort of thinking of that and thinking of the retroactive actions that are basically going to take place after, because that elbow was brutal.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. Listen, 2 things from this game. Ibra will definitely face retroactive ban. Same with Mings probably, but listen, happened to Aguero early in the season where he had that elbow that the ref missed. He was banned after that, so you'll definitely see Ibra with his ban. But another thing, listen, we're now looking at Paul Pogba as a player who can pull the strings and control play from the center of the park. Early in the season, we definitely were not able to say that. A lot of people kind of didn't believe that he could control a game with his feet from the middle of the park. You're now looking at a guy, as I said, who genuinely influences the game with his feet from the middle of the park. And from what United paid for him, that's what they need him to do. And you're starting to see him, control play with his feet. You look at that game it wasn't necessarily his best game of the season against Bournemouth, but it was another game where he's starting to get comfortable controlling that play. You see all the through balls he sent over. I mean, this is now Paul Pogba starting to settle into himself for United, which is the fee that they paid for him. That's what they need him to do.
Yeah, for sure. He's become an exceptional player. He's always has been. The amount of money they spent on him was justifiable for what he is and what he's going to become. I know there's a lot of expectation for this year, but really I think United paid for the long run. He's going to be with them for a long number of years, and he's probably going to be in control of that midfield for a long number of years. So for him to start settling.
I still think he should be playing in that cam role. I think he's better suited over there. I mean, in Juve, he was playing up there a couple games, and he really excels in that role. I think he's a little wasted playing, in that double pivot over there with Carrick. What are your thoughts?
I think that's fair. He did play really well in that position with Juve, but United just don't have the support for him to go and attack, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So until they solve that problem, I think then maybe you'll see him pushed up. But for now, I think he's excelling in that role right now. If it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Pogba's potential, I say, is not as a cam. You don't pay 100 mil for a cam. So, needs to be playing at his best. He's a character that can be driven by marketing, and especially a sport, soccer, that's still trying to grow within North America. You see characters like Ronaldo. He's one of those guys that can be marketed, and he needs to be playing where he needs to be playing at his potential, and you're gonna start to see that the sport will benefit from him, being where he needs to be and playing his best. Listen, I mean, it was a tough result for United, but I think they'll keep rolling on, and I think, listen, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the teams ahead of them to drop points for them to drop back in or go into that top four. It's not going to be about them getting points. They got to wait for the other teams to drop points, and on a weekend when Arsenal dropped points, they couldn't find a way to pick up points, so it'll be a long season for them. Let's go on. Another result in staying in Manchester there. City keep rolling on against Sunderland. 2-0 win. Listen, not a lot of talk about Guardiola's men here, but they're rolling here. Had their struggles mid-season, but they've now found a side in 11 that clicks together. You've got Leroy Sané and Sterling on both wings. Listen, those guys are going to be scary for years to come. And Leroy Sané is just a guy who's one of the most, he's in form right now. Not many guys playing better than him right now. And so, listen, this is a team who can cause some trouble here. And this title race is not over. It's a lot of time to go. This is a team that got confidence right now. I think Guardiola is going to be in that dressing room. He's going to be preaching to them. Listen, let's go here. This isn't over. Thoughts on that? You think the title race is over or what?
Well, I mean, they're showing Stones back there. You got Leroy Sané coming in. Those are both kids, and you can't expect them to just transform City into a real Champions League contender just his first season. They got to give it time, and I think it's really embarrassing just how bad these football fans just rip into him for no reason.
For me, I'd say the title race isn't over just because I don't think it's over until it's over. But just the points that previously been said is Chelsea play one competition a week, so they're fully rested. City are in the Champions League still and could progress to go on to the later stages. Pretty sure they're still in the FA Cup, so they're playing more competitions than Chelsea, so they have to keep rotating. Injuries that play into account, so I'm not going to say title race is over, but I'd just say Chelsea's got a better advantage at finishing off the year, right?
Listen, I don't know if any of you saw the video after the game, but 10 minutes after the final whistle, you've got Pep Guardiola on the field, and he's having a conversation with David Silva about, breaking down the game tactically with David. And you're talking about 10 minutes after his team's picked up a 2-0 win. You're talking about Pep Guardiola. You're talking about a guy who is a student of the game. You're talking about a guy who loves what he does. And there's nobody like him. And to Giancarlo's point, the fact that there's still people who don't think this guy's the best coach in the world tactically, it's a joke. The fact that there are people who don't think this guy knows what he's doing. I mean, wait a couple of years and you're gonna see what Guardiola creates at City, because it's gonna get a lot of people upset what he does with City.
Well, I think what's getting people with the tactical thing was, it's all fine and dandy when you're winning leagues left, right, and center. But if you think about it, I mean, the big games when it came down to it in the Champions League, when they faced, in his tenure with Bayern in the 13-14 season, going against Real Madrid, losing the first game 1-0 away, and coming back to lose 4-0 at the Allianz Arena, giving him his heaviest defeat in a Champions League game, and he just had the debacle last season with Barcelona. So I mean, it's just fans are fickle, but I know that what they'll point to is you can take the entire season into account all you want, but when the lights were on and it was the Champions League and it was the semifinals, his tactics would collapse. I remember against Barcelona, he tried to do a 3 at the back man marking MSN, and that was problematic because all these guys had to do was beat one guy, and then they were clear on goal, and that's what Messi, Suarez, and Neymar did. So it's just the tactics on a big important stage that people question him. But besides that, I mean, let's see what he does in the most competitive league over here in England.
Yeah, listen, I mean, You can hear that, you can hear that argument for sure, and this is going to be an ongoing thing here for the next couple of years here. That it's going to be back and forth with the fans and Guardiola and what can he do, this, that. Listen, after he's done with City, there'll be more questions, answered with Guardiola for sure. Moving on now to Germany. Huge result with Dortmund over Leverkusen. And we're now looking at a Leverkusen side who is mid-table, 10th place in the table. And they've just fired their coach Schmidt. This is, what are your thoughts on the move? I mean, you're talking about a team who, albeit 10th place in the table, but you're talking about a team who's still in Europe, have a second leg coming up against Atletico and Simeone, and they've gone and fired their coach. Is odd timing or justified for you guys?
Probably have to say justified. They've been terrible all season. They have a great squad, great quality players. Kevin Volland, Phil Robbie, name a few. They got some of the best players probably in Europe, I would say, or in Germany for sure. But yeah, they've been struggling all season. They haven't hit a consistent form, and I think this was the right time specifically, just because what happened with the Champions League against Atletico, that crazy game, and then now the 6-2 thrashing of Dortmund. I think they're sick of it. They want a fresh start. They want to start over from the coach, and now they're going to start moving with the players as well.
Yeah, for sure. They got high expectations, like you said, Anthony. They've got some really good players. They got Chicharito, Çalhanoğlu, Jonathan Tah. They got a good squad. They're really underperforming, and I think we were talking about this with the Leicester sacking too. You see what a difference it makes when you fire a coach. Most of the time, you get a reaction from the players, and that's what management's hoping for. They're gonna go into Atletico, they're gonna try to get a big result against them, and usually it works. But yeah.
Hey, listen, I
think all I gotta say about that game 6-2 is that Benfica fans everywhere look away now because Dortmund found their goal scoring boots. I mean, half a dozen goals. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is on the score sheet at the double. I mean, he missed some big chances, but I guess we'll get into that later. But it was just terrifying from a Benfica point of view.
Listen, we all remember the last time a team who fired a coach who was struggling domestically but was still in the Champions League with one leg to go, Mr. Roberto Di Matteo. We all remember what happened with the last time that happened, so perhaps there's a little bit of bubble in Leverkusen?
It's possible. Yeah, it's definitely possible, but I don't know. It's really hard to predict. Like the Di Matteo thing and the Chelsea thing. That's kind of like that came out of nowhere. You can't predict that. Literally, it's impossible to predict something like that. So for that to happen, I say it can happen, but
I don't know about that. Chelsea, they had a really strong squad that year. You can't really compare them to Leverkusen, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about Barca and Madrid. They had some really big results on the weekend. Barca, they thrashed. They really won big that game, and Madrid had a really big game coming off some poor results against Las Palmas and Valencia. So we'll ask you both. You're a Madrid fan. What are your thoughts?
The thoughts were it was a tough game going away from home. They were facing a Eibar who sits somewhere in seventh in the table. They were without the B and the C of BBC. It was just Benzema. But he was there at the double, and so was James and Asensio, and they conceded a Vigo. My apologies. Just a thrashing. And basically, I know the players will be going into the dressing room after that game saying this is what we got to do in a few days' time against PSG. So they looked scary. But the league is still tight now. I mean, I remember there was like a 7-point gap not too long ago, and now it's back.
Barcelona's leading right now, 1 point.
Well, they have a game in hand, Real, which if they win, they'll be up by 2. But
it's all on El Clasico. It's a big game.
It's going to be heating up. I know it will be a big game. So that's almost all there is to say there. Just 2 routine wins for the 2 big teams,
and another individual classic from Messi. I mean, listen, you're looking at. We need to start appreciating this guy because you are never gonna see anything like it in this sport ever again. What Lionel Messi does on a week in, week out basis, it is unbelievable what he does. And let me tell you something. Nowadays, all people want to talk about is skill. And you see it in players all the time where they try to go around a defender, and it's always one too many moves, skill moves. If you watch Messi when he makes those runs, whenever he gets anywhere near the box, his release is absolutely quick. He always, as soon as he gets space around the final defender, he puts in the back of the net. You see too many times, even Ronaldo is guilty of this sometimes. One too many moves, and the ball's away from his feet. Whereas you'll never see Messi take one too many steps. It's always in the back of the net. Just you could just show young players that guy, and man, he's something.
I mean, I guess you don't know what you have until it's gone. But I know I have to agree he is something else. But I know one of the goals was just him simply running down the right wing and cutting in on his left foot. I mean, I think I've seen Ian Robin do some big worldies with that left foot. But I remember one of the goals was just an absolute stroll down a park, or at least that's the way he made it seem for one of those goals. So no, I mean a guy with the ball at his feet, you'd be hard pressed to find better. I have to admit that.
Yeah, listen, that's another race similar to City that'll go down the final months there, and another El Clasico to come. So that'll be extremely interesting. On to our final game of the weekend here, boys. We got Spurs and Everton. Another Harry Kane double. And talking about a special player, Messi. Listen, Harry Kane's a special player. Let me tell you something about Harry Kane, alright? In his first season, he scored 31 goals in all competitions. Last season, his second year, 28 goals in all competitions. Now this season, with still a couple months left, he's got 24 in all competitions. There were people who thought this guy was a 1-year wonder. You remember that? This guy, he could score from anywhere, any type of goal, header. You know, Ibra gets praised for the kind of goals he can score. There isn't a type of goal Harry Kane can't put in the back of the net. Outside the box, header, volley, anything. Harry Kane does it all.
Least we forget, he can also take corners at international tournaments.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But just to add on to your point, even though people did say he could potentially be a 1-year wonder, but with English media nowadays, every English player is a 1-year wonder after one big year, right? You could go through the examples, but yeah, I think him, Harry Kane, and the Dele Alli connection could be possibly the most lethal connection now in the Premier League, or the last year or two, the most lethal connection. Like, he just is pumping goals out left, right, center, and literally he's Mr. Consistency. Like, it's incredible, and some of the goals he scores are just wonderful to watch.
Yeah,
I have to say it is scary to watch, actually, as he is my North London rival, and we've got that North London derby still to come away from home at White Hart Lane. It's going to be tough. He's been in scintillating form. The two best strikers, arguably the top two strikers in the league, with maybe Aguero in there and Zlatan. I mean, him and Lukaku were on show, and Harry Kane clearly showed who was the better of those two. So no, he's an absolute beast. I mean, they don't call him the Hurricane for nothing. When he's in town, he's causing.
now the narrative that Harry Kane was just a one-season wonder or this and that, people can just stop now because he just can't stop scoring. It's incredible, like you guys said. Any agendas against him? I mean, there's nothing to back it. He's just incredible.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, Spurs are definitely a team who seem like they've been getting better every year. Now they got a lot of younger players there, and they're an interesting team. And we'll see what Pochettino does with them the next couple of years. But they're definitely a team to watch out for. All right, now we'll go to our last recap of the weekend. Go to a local team actually. One Toronto FC drew its first game of the season. Thoughts on that game? Jovinko obviously missed a penalty.
I'd say it's a very sluggish start from them. Nothing concerning. Just I feel like they just have to keep playing some more games. And eventually the chemistry will start to click again. Thoughts on Victor Vasquez was first impression. I thought he was really good. Definitely. I wouldn't say an upgrade, but I think he's a good option to replace Will Chung after losing him in the offseason. But yeah, I'm not too worried. The draw is fine up in this game. They're playing away. Remember, they don't play their first home game till the end of March, so not a little road trip just to start the season. So yeah.
Listen, the bottom line with TFC is after making the MLS final last season, it's just important for this regular season for Vanny to kind of use this regular season as a time to find the right system and the right setup, because they're going to make the playoffs, and so he's got to use this time as he's got to find the character. They sort of did it last season. They kind of found themselves, but I think this season if they can really hammer down that what type of team they want to be and the right players, because they kind of rotate a lot of players here and there, and if he can find that right back four, or if it's a back three, and just the guys that need to be in that starting 11, I think this regular season is the time for Vanny to do that. And if he can do that, by the time the playoffs roll around, if they know what they want to do, it's a team that, you're looking at a team that can get back to that final again.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I also think that they use the regular season to experiment, implement different players, different positions, play Giovinco out wide, in the middle, up top, implementing Victor Vasquez in this, everybody else, some of the academy players, giving them some time. So definitely for sure, I think they're well aware that they can make the playoffs, and the regular season is a good way to experiment for the upcoming playoffs.
Yeah, again, listen, that's a season that just started, so TFC will be just fine, and they'll be in the playoffs, so we'll see how they get along this season. Alright, now let's move on to everybody's favorite competition, the Champions League.
Wait, did you just say the champions?
I guess so. Listen, we got 4 games this week, obviously. Let's go to the first one. We got Arsenal-Bayern. Obviously, Arsenal down 5-1. Is there any you guys see their way for Arsenal to kind of mount a comeback down 5-1? I mean, I know Ty from Arsenal Fan TV reckoned that that one away goal is going to be huge, but I mean,
I think the way you just posed that question, Mr. Gap, sums it all up. You had a chuckle in there as you were asking it. Listen, I think this is one of those. I'd have to eat my shoe. Arsenal were to come out of this, because I mean, I know that no club's ever come back after losing the first game by 4 goals or more. It's just it was just appalling, and I mean, especially off the back of that Liverpool loss. It almost seems like the fact that it's going to be in Arsenal is almost going to be a slight disadvantage, just because things could go from bad to worse really quickly, especially if the first goal is of Bayern's. So it's just one of those things where I think even if you're a player going off of that pitch, it's just you almost can't wait for that final whistle to blow, because it was just boys against men in that second half at Munich. So I think there's no chance. This is merely a formality of the competition.
So yeah, I think Arsenal, I think it's over for them. I don't think they can come back. They were literally Germany. Just the way he controlled the game, dictated the ball movements. The goal he scored, you could see, if you rewind and actually watch that goal again, you see how when he makes that first pass, he's really going for goal. He's not thinking about anything else but going for goal. So, I think Bayern's going to cruise past Arsenal second leg pretty easily.
I totally agree with you, especially on the Thiago comment. I mean, for me, he's like one of the most underrated midfielders like in the world by far. I mean, when you're talking about who's the best midfielder in the world, you know, that group, you never hear his name mentioned, and it's weird. It's like it makes no sense, especially to just think about how much like Bayern bought him for 25 billion, and you see guys like Pogba, 100 million, and they don't have the impact of a Thiago. I mean, it's crazy just how under the radar he's flown. You know what I mean? But I don't think going back to Arsenal, I don't think they got a way out. I think it's over for them. It's a different year, same story. What is this? How many years in a row is this that they've lost in the last 16 now? At least 5. I know that.
No, I think it's 3 or 4.
No, 5, because the year they lost to Milan, that's the 2012 season. So you're going 2012, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah, 2010, I'm pretty sure they made it to the semis, didn't they?
Oh, no. Did they?
Yeah, because not the semis, the quarter. They played Barca.
Listen, unless Arsenal have some sort of magisterial night at the Emirates on Tuesday or Wednesday, listen, we'll probably they'll be heading home. So, our next blowout from last week from the first set of games was Barca PSG, and 4-0 PSG going to the Camp Nou. I mean, yeah, we know Barca, of course, Messi, they're capable of anything, but I mean, what do you guys think? Like, you know, they didn't get that away goal, so I mean, and you know, one goal from PSG sets it over. So
I'm telling you right now, I have a feeling, man, that Barca's gonna conjure up something spectacular. You never, like you said before in the segment, you said it before, we're never gonna see another player like Messi again. And when you have Messi on your team, and it's not just Messi and a bunch of, you know, no-name players, you're talking about other world-class players, you're talking about Barcelona, you know, but you never count them out. You never count Messi out, especially at the Camp Nou. Like, never. Not to mention, you know, this, you know, they had that result against Milan a couple years ago. It's not to this scale, 4-0, but remember, people thought they were done there. 2-0, they lost the first game, and what happened? They come back and they thrash them 4-0 at the new camp. So I would never put anything past Barca, especially with Messi there.
I just totally disagree. I mean, you're looking at a 4-0 down with, you know, they're going to home with 4-0. I mean, listen, PSG will score in this game. So I mean, when you take that into account, this thing's over. What do you think, Anthony, Marco?
Yeah, I think there's absolutely no chance. This is like the Arsenal game. It's just a formality for the tournament. I mean, there's just no way. I mean, it would be.
I think you guys gotta put some respect on Barca's name.
Fair enough.
I
can put respect on their name, but Lord knows they're the ones that need to be putting respect on PSG's name, because I think this is the moment the moment that they've arrived. The investment that they had. You know, people
got no credibility still. One good game against the top side doesn't mean anything.
It wasn't one good game. It was one absolutely just enthralling and majestic performance against Barcelona. I mean, it was just, there are no words for it. It was just absolutely incredible what PSG did. No one saw that coming. I'd love to know the odds on a 4-0 PSG win, but no, I think there's absolutely no chance. And
the thing is, Barca, they weren't the same Barca we saw. They really had an off day. Like, you could see it. And if Barca plays like Barca, like the way they really can, I don't know. Not to mention PSG, you know, like, they scored off a set piece. They had that goal at the end where Barca, they were pushing so far up the field. You know, everyone's so up the field that PSG is just killing them on the counter. It's not like I wouldn't say it was just utter domination by PSG.
look, I mean, it's going to have to be more of the same. Barca are going to have to be coming out pushing for a goal and quick because, I mean, the only way this thing has any remote snowball's chance in you know where is if they get a goal in the first or second minute because, I mean, anything else is just, it's just not happening. So, I mean, listen, it's great to think about. It's like purchasing a lottery ticket thinking that Barca could overturn this. So, I just don't see it.
Anthony, any different?
Giancarlo, I don't think you can put it past Barca just because of who they are, who they have, and their capabilities. I think ever since Luis Enrique announced he's not going to be coaching next season, I think that really sparked something. And I feel like that the Luis Enrique farewell tour is going to keep going in the Champions League. And you definitely can't put it past them. But just quickly, I just want to say I give full credit to PSG in the first leg. Finally, a team that's been okay in the Champions League, but could have been better. Have finally started to beat the big teams or to establish themselves within the competition. So I still think Barca will come back and overturn the league.
All right, that's a little bit of a bold prediction. Anyway, we'll see what happens in that second leg. Probably similar to Arsenal. It'll have to be a magisterial night in Spain there for anything to be overturned. But moving on to another Spanish giant, probably this and Benfica is probably the highlight of this week. I mean, Madrid have to travel to Napoli in that tough stadium in Italy with Sarri and taking on Sarri's side there. You guys see? I mean, listen, this is gonna be a tough game. Like this is a tie that's not over. I mean, Napoli can do damage in Italy, and so this is gonna be really interesting to see if Zidane's men can can kind of hold the fort down in Italy, especially with an attack that's been playing so well. What do you guys think?
I 100% agree. I mean, Napoli, they're not a team like, they don't have the same quality as Madrid, but the thing is that they don't sit back. They go at Madrid. Like, you saw that in Madrid. It easily could have been that game. It easily could have been a 3-3 game if you think about the chances that Napoli missed. Mertens at the end, too. Like, I think Napoli's going to get a result here, but the problem is that it's stopping Madrid from scoring because Madrid, they always score. It's impossible to stop them from scoring, especially with that attack. So you're looking at you got to put at least 3 goals away. I mean, that's the bottom line. So Napoli really has to be on their game.
Listen, whether Napoli overturn it or not, one thing's for sure. One of those Napoli players, this is going to be a coming out party for one of those Napoli players. I've got a feeling about this, whether it's Insigne or Mertens. Listen, they're well-known players, but I mean, I think this has the possibility of being like I said, if they come away with like a 2-1, 3-1 victory, or maybe, sorry, not 3-1, but you know what I mean. I think it definitely has a possibility of one of those guys kind of showcasing, I'm here, this is who I am.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a very good point. That one of the top 3 of that trident attack is make his name in Europe on when they play. I think Napoli will win the game. I don't think they'll win the aggregate or the actual 2-leg affair. I think like a 2-1 win for Napoli is perfect, but because I know Madrid's going to score. Madrid have one of the best attacks in the world.
They always.
There's no way. Like it's virtually impossible to shut that down. I'm not saying they won't, but I'm saying it's a very unlikely chance they won't concede. But I think Napoli will give it their all. They got the home crowd on their side. 90,000 packed stadium potentially to drive that. But I think it's probably gonna be the best game of the 4 that's gonna happen. And like Giancarlo was saying, I think if they could finish their chances in the first leg, it could have been a little bit closer. But it's football. If you don't finish your chances, you're gonna get punished.
Listen, all I actually have to say was I was looking into it, and this situation has actually happened 11 times in the past with a team losing the first game away from home 3-1, and they've actually come back out of those 11 times 4 times, and 3 of those times have happened row. So I think the important thing is that nothing here is settled. It's definitely up in the air with that Benfica game. Definitely, the Benfica game is up in the air more just because it is one goal. But I mean, the 2-goal cushion that Madrid have, they really can't get complacent, because I mean, this has happened 11 times before, and almost half of that, or just over a third of the times, 4 times these teams have come back, and the last 3 times in a row that this has happened, they've actually overturned it in the second leg. So it will be definitely very interesting.
Listen, that, as you said, it'll definitely be interesting, and I think we all look forward to that game in Napoli. Let's go to our last game of the week here coming up. Benfica Dortmund to tie. That's 1-0 after the first leg. Dortmund go to Germany. A game that's wide open here. Let's just go with predictions bang on here. I'll start. I'm gonna go with Benfica. I think they'll hold out and they'll move on. How about you, Anthony?
I agree that I think Benfica will move on. I think what happened in the first game, the all momentum is on their side, especially with that penalty save, and the way they shut down Dortmund, especially at Aubameyang, who just had a dreadful night that game. Really couldn't finish anything. He had like 3 wide open nets. It was abysmal.
Hold squared.
Yeah, I think that. Sorry, Carlo, but I think that their stud center back Victor Lindelof had an absolutely amazing game. He did shut down the majority of that attack, and I think it's going to repeat.
Yeah, well, I think Benfica's going to go through too, because, you got a couple injuries. You got Götze, he's on the sidelines. You got Royce, he's injured for 4 weeks now. And let me tell you something, Aubameyang is the biggest fraud. The biggest fraud. I mean,
He's a Milan reject, so
he's a Milan reject, exactly. He's the biggest fraud. I mean, he never shows up in these big games. He stat pads versus these relegation teams in the Bundesliga. I mean, those open net chances, you gotta put those away. There's no excuse, like none.
Listen, all I have to say, I'm hoping for the best, but expecting the worst for my fellow Portuguese compatriots. My dad's a massive fan, and as much as I'd love to see them go through for him and for my people and what it'll mean for my country's league and their coefficient points. I mean, it's just the first goal will be massive, because it either means Dortmund need 3 or Dortmund are going to penalties if it stays the same. If Benfica score the first goal, Dortmund will need 3. If it's Dortmund, then it's 1-0 and the first leg is absolutely negated. So first goal will be huge, but I'm definitely hoping for the best. But I'm expecting the worst. So I'm really blown away that all 3 of you are so behind the easel at the moment, because that is not what I'm expecting at all. But we shall see.
They got 2 major injuries, and they got a fraud striker.
Listen, I mean, as Giancarlo said with Aubameyang, Giancarlo, I think there's a lot of 13-year-old kids who play FIFA Ultimate Team that might disagree with you there, so you might have to watch your mouth a little bit. Anyway, that's it. Let's look forward to those Champions League games midweek, and thanks everybody for listening, and hope to hear you next time. Have a good one.